Hello friends, and welcome back. We're playing some more Steins Gate, otherwise known as Popeye Does Late Night Physics Questions That He Hates. Last time, we accidentally got the first bad ending, where we get stuck in an infinite loop of sadness and things that I'd rather not discuss, and then permanently go back in time to try and fix it. Now, speaking of going back in time, disclaimer. So from this point on, that was actually the worst part of the entire game, to my knowledge. That's not going to happen this time, so there shouldn't be any disclaimer. I do know when the next bad ending is, and I'm not quite sure what happens in it, but when we get there, I will let people know. And then we'll have another hour and a half of sadness times. But speaking of going back in time, I have gone back and basically redone the first half hour of of last game to actually get to the exact second. So see that giant, not giant, that red button that looks like a cell phone tower that's pinging stuff? That is the sign that there is something important you can do here. So I went back and replayed up until this point to get to this exact moment. I've also started replaying the game. Why did it not show last time? I do not know. It might just show up because... actually, I can show you what you can do. So in this game, you have automatic messages with your skip mode, and you can have it set to... when you have one of these options to automatically break from auto playing through the campaign, and that might be why it appears this time. It could also possibly appear once you've played through it once, just to let you know where the choice was. I'm not entirely sure which it is. I didn't really put much time into Googling it. But that's here. I've also started replaying the game using the same skip mode to get to the true ending, which we are not on pace for. We are on pace for the ending that basically everyone gets the first time through because you miss things like phone triggers. So from that, I've seen a couple new things. I've seen the start of the blossoming of the relationship between main character and Christina, and I hate it because she should not be giving us the time of day, all the crap we put her through. As well as there's an extra Mayuri death, so I got to sit through that. If you don't want to know about the death, because I will be describing it in just a minute, cover your ears until I give the okay sign, and then you can come back. Okay. So, basically there's a choice you can make, and this doesn't actually affect any of the endings, it's just a bonus scene, where you're running with Mayuri through the streets, and you turn around and she's gone. And you look for her and you can't find her. So you decide the logical thing to do is go back to the lab, because it's a place you both know, and if something is wrong, you can leap back, which makes sense. And when you get there, you get a text message from CERN that has a picture of Moeka being jellified in 1963. So yeah, there's a lovely picture of her being turned into a jelly man, and I never want to see it again. And yeah, there we go. If you were covering your ears, welcome back. So, what we will be doing now is continuing on this playthrough. So, we have this. Actually, is that the only thing it lets me do? In fact, yes it is. So, I can send this. And this is the change that will take us from doing the bad ending to continuing on with the game. That being said, the next time we encounter one of these, what I will probably do is save at that intersection and then just proceed with the bad ending to get it out of the way, and then continue with the good ending. Alright, I start up the microwave. Discharge begins immediately. I place my thumb on the send button. Mary's voice is choked with tears. Oh, I also had the fun of having to redo Suzuka's suicide note and the shower scene, um, and all the Mayuri deaths. So that was all fantastic. Mim is here with sadness. Yes, hello, Mim. We are not. Oh no, dang it, Samses. I've lived through that twice now. I don't need it anymore. Memories flash through my head. Uh,
父さんのやろうとしていたこと、私が絶対やり遂げるから。
Samus, I promise you, when I've been replaying this game, I have it on the auto thing. But the auto thing, even with it on, is super slow, so it's basically me here just mashing my X button while I watch YouTube or Twitch on my other monitor. Google is a fun thing.
君たちにとっては数時間後か。お願い。未来を変えてほしい。
That's what incognito is for. Suzuha, I've made my choice. I won't ask for your forgiveness. Ultimately, I'm doing this to save Mayuri. But at the same time, the words you spoke on that rooftop are still strong in my heart. You entrusted to me your hope for the future. If I'm to honor that wish, fulfill mine, and the time we spent together can never have happened. Welcome to Chapter 7. And weird image warping effects. The world shatters into geometric shapes that expand and contract like rubber toys. Buying the game is the last option. They were actually having a sale on all of these games earlier in the week. Light gathers between my eyes. Stars explode behind my eyelids. Gradually, color returns to the world. I wait for the vertigo to pass. Options are not all gone. Find someone else's computer and take it without their permission and Google it there. Problem solved. Cold sweat oozes from my temples. Pressing my fists against them, I slowly force the air out of my lungs. Has the world line changed? I head to the lounge in order to check the divergence meter. So, we had thought of this before. What happens if we change, Chaos has always been a mod. Chaos is just not always here. But Chaos has been a mod for quite a while. Mim that's changed? Mim should also be a mod. Mim is still a mod. Is it in Mim's channel? Yes. I'm pretty sure in Mim's channel Chaos is not a mod. I checked the meter a few minutes ago, just before the world line changed. Now it's nowhere to be found. I quickly realized what has happened. Suzuha gave me the meter after we stopped her from leaving. My email undid those events. Of course the meter isn't here. A surge of regret seizes my heart. I clench my teeth and endure it as best I can. This is the 14th time you've messed up myself and Mim. What were the other 13 times? If nobody else remembers, then I alone will keep these memories of Suzuha alive. I look around the room. Mayuri and Chris are on the sofa, dozing on each other's shoulders. Alright, so Mim is a skyscraper, Funky's a space station. Okay. The person on camera doesn't give it away. I can put on the sweater and become Mim. This is the Mim sweater. Aha. If I had an orange shirt, I am now Mim. I will take it off because it is too warm for me. I have the body of a furnace. I mean, Mim, it's also my go-to sweater. Even though it has like holes like in the cuff and like in the pockets now, it's really I should get rid of it, but memories, and I like it so much. Daru, oblivious to the vulnerable high school girls behind him, is playing an eroge on his computer. Thank you, Daru, for being oblivious to vulnerable high school girls. I never want to have to repeat that again. Take a deep breath and turn on the TV. I flipped to a news channel. The world line should have changed. I erased the time we spent with Suzuha. That should have allowed her to leap to 1975 without losing her memories. The IBN 5100 should be in our hands now. Use it to hack and discern and erase the data they intercepted from us. Without that information, Moika's men won't attack the lab. Mayuri won't have to die. That's how it should be. It's how it has to be. Otherwise, why did I sacrifice Suzuha's dream? The quickest way to confirm the change would be to check for any delays at Akihabara Station.
山手線は止まっているか
は？いや、止まってないんじゃね？
ネットで調べてくれ
今いいところなのに
頼む
Daru sighs and calls up train information.
やっぱ止まってないみたいだお。
ありがとう
The world line has changed, which means that our IBN 5100 should be in the development room. I head back there to search for it. But contrary to my expectations, I can't find it anywhere. What's going on? Look at my watch. It's 7:43 p.m. Moika's men attack at... what time again? My heart is pounding like a drum. That email was supposed to fix everything. Trains are moving as scheduled, which means that Moika's men aren't about to attack. So why does it feel like nothing's fixed at all? The IBN 5100's absence is extremely disturbing. I want to sit down and think about it, where it could have gone. The voice in my head is screaming that there's no time. I need to calm down. It's hard to think straight after everything that's happened. Check my watch again. 7:46 p.m. Images from the assault flash through my mind. Mayuri bleeding to death on the floor. Smell of gunpowder in the air. I frantically shake the visions out of my head. I look towards the lab entrance. Doors yet to be kicked in by a team of hitmen. Swallow hard, petrified with terror. Please don't let anything happen. It's past 9. I peek at the street through the window. Nobody's there.
オカリン、誰か待ってんの？さっきからやたら下を気にしてっけど。
Daru's right. I've probably looked out the window 20 times in the past hour. Not a suspicious figure in sight. Moika's men still haven't appeared. Raid was before 8, if I remember correctly. I think it's safe to say that my changes to the past have prevented it from occurring. Suzuha's sacrifice was not in vain. I let out a deep breath. I'm sweaty and disgusting. It's like my anxieties pushed all the sweat out of my body.
マユリそれにクリス
Two girls woke up from their nap about half an hour ago. Now they're eating cup noodles.
今あんた私の名前普通に呼んだ
Chrissy looks at me in astonishment like she can't believe her
二
ears.
人とも 食事が終わったら帰るんだ。もう遅いから送っていく。
そうする。別に岡部なんかに送ってもらわなくても一人で帰れるんだけど。
いいから。誰も支度しておけ。
え、僕も？
The train lines running through Akihabara are operating normally. There's no bomb scare, and no sign of Moeka or her men. Risu's taking the Sobu line to the next station, Ochanomizu, while Daru's going the opposite way to Shinkoiwa. Mayuri and I are taking the Yamanote line to Ikebukuro, we part at the station's ticket gate. There's surprisingly few passengers on the train. Guess most of the salarymen are off for the Obon holiday. Mayuri is playing a handheld game, the Rainet Kakeru action RPG. On the screen, her character is battling a gigantic Upa. I stand beside her and gaze at her profile, lost in thought. The night of the 13th, and Mayuri is still alive. How many times have I watched her die? How many times have I tasted that despair? More if you have to replay the game, that's my answer. No, it's the 14th. I mean, this is also, what's that, August? It's not like Trails of Cold Steel, where I'm obviously playing it in real time. No matter what I did, no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't save this ditzy childhood friend of mine from death. She died again and again, right before my eyes. But now she's alive, standing beside me, playing a game. This is why I sacrificed our memories with Suzuha. It's the only way. I'm sorry, Suzuha, and thank you. Suzuha no longer exists in this time, but I hope my feelings will reach her all the same. Actually, come to think of it, why can't I tell her in person? Where in Akiba could the 54-year-old Suzuha be? I'll try asking Tenoji tomorrow. He probably knows Suzuha on this world line too. I wonder if Suzuha remembers me. Mayuri suddenly lifts her head. She looks at me hesitantly. Her cheeks are slightly pink.
なんだ。
なんだじゃないよ。そんなにじーって見つめられたらね、気になってマユシーはそわそわしちゃうのです。
ゲームオーバーにでもなったのか。それは悪かった。
I apologize, but keep looking at her. Instead of starting a new game, Mayuri looks at me with concern.
今日のオカリー、なんだかいつもと違うような気がするよ。
そうか。
どうかしたの？
I'd like to point out the, I don't know the first banner on top of the train, but the second one that says Chaos Head Noah is an ad for their own other game. I'm guessing the other one is also characters from that game. We're blaming Chaos that they named their other game Chaos Head. I remind myself that Mayuri is more perceptive than she seems. You got blamed, Chaos, because on the ad on the roof of the train, not the close one, the further one, is called Chaos Head Noah. And Samus wants to know why your head is a game, and why is it called Noah. She proved that when she figured out that Daru was Suzuha's father. I want to worry her too much. I want Mayuri to smile her usual ditzy smile without a care in the world. After all, it's over now. She's safe.
俺は何も変わってはいない。今もお前の顔を見ていたのだが、いかに世界に混沌をもたらすかを考えていたのだ。
There you have it, devising new ways to bring chaos to the world.
本当に無理してない
You're gonna blame chaos so many times.
この狂気のマッドサイエンティストに無理なことなど一つもない。常に IQ170 を誇る灰色の脳細胞が完璧な計算を叩き出しているのだからな。
Your issue with starting Steins Gate as a whole. Same with Fate, as you have no clue where any of the series begin. So as someone who has watched, I think, all the anime that's come out for all three of the science adventure series, that's what they call the Chaos Head Steins Gate Robotics Notes, although I like semicolon series because they all have a semicolon in it, and I think it sounds dumber, and I like it. In my opinion, Chaos Head is not worth anyone's time. If you were to, like, just Google a basic summary of it, that's better than watching it. Steins Gate is worth your time. And what's the like, spin-off after Chaos Head? It's Chaos Child. Is also worth absolutely no one's time. Robotics Notes afterwards is nice, but it's a very different thing, where, like, Steins Gate and Chaos Head are very, like, psychological horror, almost, I would say. Robotics Notes is more like a slice of life. So if you don't know that and you get into it, it might be disappointing. But overall, I would say it's average for an anime.
そっかでもねたまにはボケーって休むことも必要なんだよそのことをね忘れないでねオカリ
Having said that, Mayuri returns to her game. I feel cold stares all around me, but I don't care at all. He tends to stick away from a large majority of psychological. So, what I have learned is that... So, I'm not a fan of horror in the slightest. I just don't find it scary, and if it's not scary, then what's the point? In my opinion, at least. So, the like, one thing that I've come to like is that, like, psychological kind of horror, the idea that something is close enough to reality that it could happen, and could, like, happen to you, or, like, could be happening right now, is the one horror I kind of like. It's not that it scares you while watching it, it's that it scares you after when you've stopped watching it. Time travel is abundant on this timeline. See, I don't know. Maybe there is time travel, and I just don't have reading Steiner, so I can't see it. That being said, horror is still not my genre. Mayuri is here with me, doing everyday Mayuri things. Ordinary things. Everything is going back to normal. We just, like, triggered so many flags with that sentence. There you go, it's now the 14th, it's now today. Yesterday was my first time home in a while, so I slept like a log in my comfortable bed. Clanad is a pretty good show, in my opinion. But I think, more than that, I liked the after story better. If you want real horror, just look at a beach. I can guarantee you I cried probably at least like a dozen times watching Clanad. And any key animation. Angel Beats, Clan Ad, Little Busters, Air TV, they will all make you cry at the end. Little Busters we may actually play. It's one of the things on my Steam list that I may like get to if it has a good deal on at one point. And probably of all of them, it's probably my favorite. If you don't cry during Clanad, you aren't human. Yeah. You're a meow. For a meow, you were doing a very good job of not just pressing random things on your keyboard. Could be because of my mental exhaustion, but that was the best night's sleep in a while. Before heading up to the lab, I stop and stare at the Brawn Tube workshop. Familiar mountain bike is gone. Suzuha liked it so much she insisted on bringing it with her to 1975. Yeah. So the most recent thing I've watched that has made me cry is Tokyo Mag 8.0. If you're not familiar with it, basically it follows a brother and sister. They're out at a robot convention, and then there's an 8.0 magnitude earthquake that hits it, and they're trying to get home. The first half of it isn't too bad, and the second half is pretty sad. It's also pretty accurate scientifically. From everything I've read, they did their homework on it. The workshop door opens, and out comes Mr. Braun, rubbing his eyes sleepily. When your game's got a 233 kilobyte update, they updated the README. They just made one now. Hire me for 1 CRT a month? 1 CRT a month? So for 1 month's work, I get an old television. They fixed the crash handle. They just added Tri-Catcher on the entire main loop. Hell no. I will be the first to say, Samus, I have done that. What? Is her existence erased completely? That's impossible. So Suzuha did work here. That fact, the evidence of Suzuha's sojourn in 2010 still remains on this world line. I've worked with people, Samus, who are strong advocators in that if there's an error and we're not, like, you're not specifically catching that error, you should just propagate it up, and then your whole application crashes. But at least you get an error message, and I'm like, but no. Who likes CRTs that much that they just want to stand there and sell them? Yeah, like, I'm fine with if you try, catch it, log it, and then, like, rethrow it. The idea that, especially if it's some low-level function, whatever's calling you may want to handle it differently. like one area of your application, like that may be fine if that error happens, and another place it might be like, no, that's a required thing, like we absolutely need that, so you might have it work in different ways. But at some point you probably want to try catching your errors, even if it's just like log, like something happened here, we need to check it. Tenoji shrugs his shoulders, annoyed. Naturally, he doesn't know about Suzuha's true identity.
橋田鈴という人を知っていますか?
You like catching errors to raise new errors. Yeah, like especially if you can give more context to it. Like, just the easiest example I can think of is you might have some sort of generic, like load a JSON file into memory and return it as a JSON object. And in like some areas that might be like fine if that file doesn't exist, but say it's like your config file, your config.json is missing, you might be like, I kind of need that. So then having like a special error in there that's like, hey, config.json is missing or invalid would be good, and then like rethrow that to crash. But yeah. At this, Tenoji's eyes go wide.
懐かしい名前だな。おめえ、知り合いだったのか?
Knew her.
その人は今は
もうかれこれ10年になるか。
10 years? 10 years since what? No. I don't want to know the answer. I don't want to read the letter again. Tenoji has a faraway look in his eyes, as if he's gazing into the past.
あの人には随分世話になった。
Dang it, Samus. Why are you talking about her in past
天
tense?
涯孤独だったらしくてな。せめて俺が見とってやりたかったんだが。
At the end, there's only one thing that can mean. Even though the world line changed, Suzuha didn't survive to the year 2010. Yeah, it's better than playing the game, right? Yeah. So everyone, thanks to Chaos, we all just lost the game. You cannot ban moderators, no. Nor can you time out moderators. We tried a bunch of stuff. You also can't delete their message. I mean, you can't, I can. I can do whatever the heck I want.
ま、こう言っちゃなんだが、死に顔は穏やかだったよ。
Moderators are unkillable unless you are the broadcaster.
穏やか。自殺じゃないのか。
自殺? お前それ誰から吹き込まれたんだよ。
No, I did look at that, Samus.
根も葉もねえ話を信じてんじゃねえ。
I'm not one of the half streamers with predictions. She was sick. Sickness killed her? Shouldn't feel good about that. I guess you can say it's better than what happened before the world line changed. That's what I tell myself anyway.
で、おめえとすずさんはどういう知り合いだったんだ?
昔俺も世話になったんです。もう一度会いたいって思っていたのに。
そうか。あの人が住んでた家は今俺が使ってんだ。位牌もそこにある。なんなら手を合わせに来るか。
I nod without a moment's hesitation. Noji closes up shop and we head off towards his house. From Chuodori we head towards the station. Scan the Okuba scenery as we walk. Moe stores are still nowhere to be found on this world line. After a little hesitation, I look up at Rodicon. It's gone. Satellite has vanished. What happens if a moderator starts a prediction, is unmodded, participates, is remodded, then the prediction ends? Not sure. If I had to guess, it would be that as long as you were able to put in the bet, you get, or not the bet, the prediction, because they probably won't be allowed to call it bets because of certain implications. But if you were to make a prediction, I assume that means I would either get paid out for it or refunded for it.
例の人工衛星いつ消えたんでしたっけ？
My guess would be on the former, that you'd get paid out for it.
ああ、5日前ぐらいじゃなかったか。世の中、奇妙なことが起きるもんだな。
It's already banned in 10 countries for implied gambling. Suzu had left before it rained. Like Tenoji said, his house is closer than expected. Take the train to the next station, Okuchimachi, and then walk for about 5 minutes to a quiet residential area. This old one-story house is where Suzuha once lived. Is that her bike? Walk up to the front of the house, and there I see a familiar sight. No, it's her bike. For a moment, I can see her there, squatting beside the bicycle. The mountain bike Suzuha rode to the Bronze workshop was shiny and new. Now it's old and covered in rust.
その自転車は、すずさんがすっげえ大事にしてたんだよ。晩年は自分で乗ることはなかったけどな。それでも週に一度はフレームを磨いてた。処分することもできなくて、結局10年もそこに置いたままだ。俺もできるだけ整備はしてるんだが、さすがに錆が目立ってきてるな。
I gently put my hand on the seat. It's warm from sitting out in the sun. Suppose that, for the few days Suzuha was in Akiba, his bicycle existed in 2 places at the same time. The house isn't as messy inside as I expected, considering the state of the Brawn Tube workshop. I guess that chipmunk keeps the place clean. What? Why was that the image you used for her? A wave of nausea hits me as I recall what Nae did at Ochanomizu Station. I tell myself that was just an accident. Besides, that incident has already been undone. Tenoji Nae has done nothing wrong. Next to the living room is a child's room. There's a child's study desk and a red backpack on the floor. Nae isn't here. Which reminds me, Tenoji's daughter visits the workshop often, but not once have I seen his wife. He couldn't have married Suzuha, could he? I mean, she should have been a lot older than him when they met. As they say, love knows no bounds. I wonder what really happened. I don't know how I'd feel if those two were married. That would make Daru Tenoji's father-in-law. Actually, that would be kind of interesting. I turned to the Buddhist altar to pay my respects to Suzuha. There's no picture of her. There's no way to know what Ashita Suzu looked like at the age of 44. Make an offering of incense to her, and look around the house again. This is the house Suzuha lived in after leaping to 1975.
俺とすずさんは最初、いわゆるお隣さんだったんだよ。
For some reason, Tenoji offers me a beer. When I decline, he shakes his head and starts drinking it himself.
俺はヨーロッパ生まれのヨーロッパ育ちでな。
は？それはギャグですか？
んだよ、てめえ。俺は英語もフランス語もペラペラだぞ、こら。
He really doesn't look like someone who lived abroad. Guess you can't judge a book by its cover.
両親が死んで15年ぐらい前に日本に帰ってきたんだよ。つっても俺にとっては生まれて初めての日本だった。この国について何にも知らねえ俺の面倒を見てくれたのが隣に一人で住んでたすずさんだったってわけだな。
No, but you can judge a bed by its cover. Alright, now's my chance. I'm gonna ask it's now or never.
結婚を
結婚？
すずさんと。
アホか。
Phew. I knew she'd never marry a guy like him.
あの人は随分ストイックに生きてたよ。人付き合いもあまりなかったみたいだ。けどな、俺にはよくしてくれた。ここに越してきて1年ぐらい経った時、俺の家が火事で全焼してな。まあ、俺のタバコの不始末が原因だから自業自得なんだが、その時に全財産なくした俺をこの家で下宿させてくれたんだ。それだけじゃねえ。工房のあるあの大檜山ビルな、あれもともとすずさんの持ち物だったんだぞ。
え？
それを格安で譲ってもらったんだ。おかげで俺はブラウン管工房を構えることができたってわけだ。あの人は俺の恩人だよ。ある時、なんだって縁もゆかりもねえのにこんなによくしてくれるんですかって聞いたことがあんだが、そしたらあの人は笑ってこう答えたよ。巡り巡って人は誰かに親身にしてもらうことになってる。だから君もいずれ誰かに親身にしてあげなさいってな。なんだか不思議な人だったぜ。預言者みたいにこれから起きる出来事をピタリピタリと言い当てたりしてな。
Suzuha. That was probably her way of repaying Tenoji for looking after her, even if it was just for 10 days. So, it came full circle.
しかし世間ってのは狭いな。あの人のことを知ってる人間がこんな近いところにいたとは。
You still don't know who your wife is. Now I'm curious. Noji goes into the child's room next door, then returns and places an object on the table.
Huh?
It's Suzuha's divergence meter. Before the world line changed, it was in the lab. On this world line, Suzuha brought the meter with her to 1975. It's been in this house for 35 years. The tubes read 0.409431%. Divergence has changed, just like Suzuha said. Previously we were at 0.33 something. We went up about 4%. Or, sorry, 7%. This proves that my magic eye, reading Steiner, does indeed allow me to perceive changes to the world line. What does 0.409431% mean? I recall what Suzuha said.
メーターの数値が 1% を超えたとき、君はベータ世界線にたどり着いたことになる。
Does that mean I'm still on the Alpha World line?
それ何の数字を表してるかわかるか？俺にはさっぱりわからなくてな。この10年その数字からピクリとも変わりゃしねえ。ただすずさんは病床からいつもこのメーターを眺めてた。
え？
上ごとのようにつぶやいてたよ。この数字は変わる前なのかな、変わった後なのかな、私は変えられたのかな。そんな風に一日に何回もな。見てて痛々しいほどだった。
I touch the device. Suzuha. My heart, I reach out to the girl who died 10 years ago. The girl who will be born 7 years from now. The girl who crossed time to save the future. Suzuha. Thanks to you, Mayuri is safe. Divergence has changed. But we haven't reached your ultimate goal. 1% divergence. Once that is achieved, the future you dreamed of will become a reality. I will carry on your fight, Suzuha. I promise. I realize that I'm crying. Noji stares at me for a moment, then puts his giant hand on my shoulder. Mayuri comes out of the ticket gate, walks up to me with an unhurried stride. With an unhurried stride.
まさかね、本当に駅まで迎えに来てくれるなんて思わなかった。マユシーはびっくりなのです。
人質に逃げられては困るからな。
困るよね。それでね、マユシーはとっても嬉しいよ。
I don't quite understand, but whatever. Larry flashes a carefree smile, then walks ahead of me, almost skipping.
ねえ、その抱えてる荷物って何？
ミスター・ブラウンから譲
What's
って
in
も
the
らった
bag?
世界線の数値を測ることのできる大パーツなんだぞ。
なんだかすごそうだね。でも世界線の数値って？
I smile wryly.
マユリは本当にバカだな。
What am I doing? After I left Noji's house, I called Mayuri to ask when she would arrive in Akiba. Then, I went to the station to pick her up. Anxiety still smolders in my heart. We managed to survive yesterday, but that doesn't guarantee our safety forever. It's entirely possible for Moeka to attack now, in the afternoon of the 14th. Maybe I'm being overprotective, but I still can't shake the image of Mayuri's death from my mind. I don't ever want to have to go through that again.
マユリ、例えばの話だが、コミマが終わるまで秋葉に来るのはやめた方がいいのではないか。
No response. I look to the side.
いない。
And she's gone. Panicked, I scan the area and catch sight of her wandering towards a newly opened shaved ice stand. That ditz. Can't you tell how worried I am?
岡部って尽くすタイプなのね。
Chrissy's glaring at me with an iced coffee in her hand. We're in the lab, which appears to become her second home.
何がだ？
I'm sitting at the computer, searching for intel on the IBM 5100. I still don't know where it is. I went to Yanabayashi Shrine this morning, but alas, it wasn't there. Suzuha promised to get one to us somehow, a gift to us, from 1975. Without it, we can't hack into CERN's database, meaning we can't achieve divergence over 1%.
あんたがマユリをお姫様扱いし始めた
You want shaved ice? I can do without shave ice. I have very sensitive teeth. So it's not a fun time for my mouth.
今日は駅までお迎えに上がって。お昼ご飯はドクミまでして。ここまでは手をつないで歩いてきたとか。
We'll stop having sensitive teeth? I mean, probably the only way I could do that is to pull them all out. I've had 4 pulled. I don't really want to pull the rest out. You have to tell Krisu of all people. Larry looks so carefree. She stuffs her cheeks with takoyaki. Oh, now I want takoyaki. I'm pretty sure she's smiling not because of my love, but because of the takoyaki's deliciousness. Typical Mayuri. Seriously, did you have to tell Krisu?
で、実際のところどうなんだ?
So maybe now is actually a good time to talk about some of the differences replaying the game for the true ending. Is that, so there's, first of all, there's one extra scene where you talk with Krisu, This is after one of the earlier scenes where you come back to the lab late at night and she's sitting on the bench outside crying. And we find out it's because her father called, and basically she talks about her relationship with her father and about wanting to make it better. And so we agree to go with her to confront her father and like try and repair the relationship. And then later there's some other scenes, especially during the sequence of Mayuri's deaths, where she's like, you can't give up, you can't die, because you have to take me to go see my father, you promised. So there's a couple little changes in dialogue after that, but the main change is there's like an extra, I'd say about like 2-minute scene, where the two of them talk. On top of extra text messages, of course.
どうとは？
前から不思議だったのよね。あんたたちって付き合ってるの？
そう見えるのか？
それは
What sort of delusions does this girl have?
ね、オカリンとマユシーは小さい頃からずっとお友達なんだよ。
食べながら話すのははしたない。
じゃあ付き合ってないんだ。まあ誰もオカビみたいな変人と付き合おうとは思わないし、当然よね。
クリスティーナよ、お前には失望したぞ。
は？何よいきなり。
俺は気づいた。気づいてしまったのだよ。お前の本質にな、恋の話になると途端に食いつき方が変わる。そんなお前はスイーツかっこ笑いに他ならない。恋の話を恋バナと読んでしまうお年頃だな、少子。そんなお花畑の持ち主をこの法院京馬と我がラボは求めていないぞ。
Wait. I'm fine with making fun of her, because I mean, we've done that the whole time, why stop now? But I'm not okay with saying this lab does not need puppies. Every lab needs puppies. Feels strange to be spewing this Chinubio nonsense again after what I've been through. Chaos, I just have to say, at least this one wasn't your fault that there's no puppies for everyone. But all those beauty streams where you stopped us from getting puppies... is my innocence lost forever?
マッドサイエンティストかっこ自称の中二病患者が何言ってやがりますか。
It was kittens? I'm pretty sure there's also one about puppies, too. Especially considering that you have access to puppies. It's been a long time since I argued with Christy like this, too. Thought brings a sudden pang of loneliness. And you don't breed cats anymore. Yep. After failing to save Mayuri, I sought help from this genius girl. Even though her words were at times harsh, she supported and encouraged me to the end. But now, all that has vanished along with the time we spent with Susaha. Thank you for your help, Krisu. I silently give her my sincere gratitude, as I'm sure verbally we give her nothing of the sort. But keyboard tapping noises? Are you just like mashing your keys like this? Like... I finished typing on the X68000's keyboard in Sci, then turned to the divergence meter sitting on the shelf. The display reads 0.409431%. What does that mean?
世界の構造はより糸みたいなものなの。 いくつもの可能性世界線が重ね合わせの状態になってて、常に無限個に枝分かれしてってるわけ。メーターの数値が 1% を超えた時、君はベータ世界線にたどり着いたことになる。アトラクタフィールドアルファの範囲外、ベータ世界線へ到達すれば収束する結果も変わる。そう、 1% を突破さえできたら椎名真由里は助けられるっていうこと。
I'm looking to see if it actually exists on the shelf now, if they actually changed that. But I don't think they did. Looks like he's got a PlayStation 1 though. Then, does that mean I haven't saved her? Divergence is still less than 1%. The world's still converging on Mayuri's death? It can't be. Can't be. I mean, nothing happened yesterday. Mayuri's here, safe and sound. So nothing will happen to her. It won't. I want to believe that. But the doubt within my heart is growing, thick and black. Hardly think about anything else. No matter how hard I stare at it, the number on the meter doesn't change a digit. So far, reading Steiner's only activated after we sent past-changing D-mails. What about when I time leap? The vertigo I feel when I time leap might be caused by reading Steiner. Maybe just a side effect of the memory transfer. It's impossible to know. In any case, I'm prepared for the worst. I've already set the time leap machine's timer to send my memories 3 hours into the past. With Daru's help, I found a remote for the 42-inch CRT downstairs. Our previous phone wave, name still subject to change, experiments made a hole in the floor. Instead of fixing the hole, I made it bigger. The 42-inch CRT is right under the hole. If I point the remote at the hole and press the power button, the TV turns on. How does the person downstairs not notice that you carved a giant hole in their ceiling? Now, should things go wrong, I can time leap at a moment's notice. And I also have future gadget number 4, Mode Snake, on hand in case of emergency.
Okabe.
I do not remember what future gadget 4 actually does. Chryssio enters the development room.
タイムリープマシーンの実験はしないんじゃなかったの？
もしもの時のためだ。
もしもって？
I don't want to answer that. I keep praying that my fears will not be realized. It's okay. Everything will be okay. They didn't attack yesterday, so they won't attack today. At the very least, we've changed Mayuri's fate. Still, I can't help but pray. Please let Mayuri be safe. Please don't let anything happen. My prayers go unanswered. No! The door slams open. 5 men burst into the lab. I just had to check. I thought one dude had socks and flip-flops on. I was gonna be like, seems like real good combat gear. I recognize them. The Rounders. They aim their guns at us. I freeze. Despair seizes my heart. My worst fears have come true. It's happening exactly the same as before. Except there's no Suzuha to kick all their butts this time. You sure this will be fine? Only this time Suzuha isn't here to save us. Thank you, game, for saying what I just said. Even the dark-skinned man's words are the same. Eventually, the unpleasant clack of heels echoes down the hallway.
萌香さん、これって。
タイムマシンを回収させてもらう。
I suppress my terror and grab Mayuri's arm. The crew cut man says something he hasn't before.
牧瀬クリス、岡部倫太郎、橋田至、3名については我々と一緒に来てもらう。抵抗は許されない。とにかく来て。あなたたちに逃げ場はないわ。
So I'm gonna give the warning ahead of time. I don't know if we're gonna get another Mayuri shot in the head scene coming up, but it's possible. So if you hear a gunshot, I would look away from the screen if that is not for you.
私たちの仲間はすでに秋葉原中に散らばっている。
What should I do? Should I use my concealed mode snake right now? Use it and then time leap? I think it might be the one that is basically a smoke bomb. But Mayuri hasn't been killed yet. There's a chance she might not be killed on this world line. Crew cut man points his gun at me. My heartbeat jumps up. Cold sweat breaks out all over my body. I've only raised my left. I have to use it. I swallow my fear and activate mode snake. Yeah, it's the smoke bomb one. White smoke instantly fills the room, rendering it impossible to see. The rounders won't be able to aim through this. I have to time leap while it lasts. I grab Mayuri's hand and fumble through the smoke towards the development room. I hear the sound of guns firing wildly behind me. Suddenly, Mayuri's arm gets heavy. I trip forward and land on my face. Her hands were separated in the fall. I grope around and soon find her slender hand. Mayuri's feeble whisper reaches my ears. Was she hit? The rounder's blind shot hit Mayuri? I mean, all things considered, dude has an assault rifle. There's 5 of you standing in a line. If he does this, probably a decent chance it's gonna hit someone. Mayuri's voice quickly fades away. Although my question is, would they risk, like, why would they risk killing us if they want us alive to build their time machine? Strength drains from her fingers. But Mayuri doesn't answer. Sorry, Mayuri. Once again, I've failed to save you. Thought I'd succeeded, but I was wrong. I hear my teeth grinding in my head. I hear Krisu and Daru screaming as the gunfire continues. A sharp pain flares at the top of my head. Press down with my hand and it comes away soaked with blood. This red tint of the room is actually a really nice design. It hurts, it hurts, it hurts. Feels like someone took a saw to my skull. My ears are ringing. I stumble. I can't stand up straight. I need to get to the time leap machine. Oh, and that red fade? That actually reminds me of the ye old beardy fades. I squeeze Mayuri's limp hand one last time, then crawl to the development room. Fumble for the headgear and put it on. I point the remote at the hole and press the power button. The TV turns on downstairs. I can hear people laughing on the screen. How's my internet? Looks perfectly fine to me. Minimal dropped frames. CPU looks fine. So if you're having some like lag or choppiness, it's either your side or Twitch being Twitch. Or my stats are lying to me, I guess. Shit. Clench my fists in frustration. The time leap machine is already activated. The discharge phenomenon is starting. The floor begins to shake. Once again, I leap to the past. I've frozen you for a while? Well, at least you missed all of the death and stuff. The world collapses, then reforms. Once again, I feel the odd numbness behind my eyes. Pain at the top of my head is gone. Wipe the sweat off my brow and look around. I can't see Mode Snake's vapor anymore. The air is clear. Chris is reading a Western book like usual. Larry is playing a handheld game while eating a banana. Dario isn't here. I recall he said he was going out somewhere. I quickly swallow my words.
どうしたの？オカリンもバナナ食べる？
When I wave my hand, no. You saw the death. Well, maybe you missed seeing us getting shot in the head? Mary tilts her head quizzically, goes back to her game. I sink into the sofa and close my eyes. Somehow, I resist the urge to scream in frustration. I have to think. I erased our memories with Suzuha, changed the world line. It wasn't enough. Divergence meter still reads 0.4%. How do I get that above 1%? Wait, I try to solve the problem alone, just end the same way. Need to consult Chrisu.
クリス、ちょっと来てくれ。
I lead her out of the lab. We sit on the bench in front of the building. Suzuha's bicycle is still absent.
何なの？私の名前を普通に呼ぶなんて普通じゃないの。
Chrisu frowns at her own words.
変な日本語。
助けてくれ。
これはびっくり。まさかあんたの口からそんな言葉が出るなんて熱でもあるんじゃない？
茶化すな。
We've got our first mail.
相談している。
From Mayuri. Where are you going? Okran, where are you going? A date with Chris-chan? I'm jealous. So we could say our relationship is purely professional, or jealous? You want to go on a date with me? I don't think this matters, but I'm gonna pick this one. Because I want our character to not be a total dick. Well, that other one was actually not too bad for him. It's actually pretty normal.
タイムリープをしてきたのね。
I nod.
お前はどこまで知っている？
どこまでって何を？
鈴葉がジョン・タイターだったことは。
This gives me a blank stare.
その発想はなかったわ。
When we prevented Suzuha from leaving on August 9th, she ended up staying until August 13th. That outcome was changed by my last email. Happened during those 4 days on this world line.
タイムリープマシンは完成したか？
何言ってんの？昨日私が徹夜して完成させたでしょ？岡部はいつから飛んできたんだ？
今日の夜8時頃だ。
Looks like I'll have to explain everything all over again. Oh, we got a response. Mayuri, I want to go on a date. Rather go to Sanbo or Kitchen Jiro? We can't respond. I'm guessing Kitchen Jiro sounds like a restaurant. I'm guessing Sanbo is also a restaurant. I'm guessing all Mayuri thinks about is food. Told her about Mayuri's many deaths and about what happened with Suzuha and Moeka. I also gave a summary of what Suzuha told me about the structure of the universe. Kursu does not appear to doubt my story.
話をまとめると IBN5100 が手元に戻ってくれば勝ちっていうことになる。
Kursu sums up what I told her.
あくまで予測だけど天音さんの話を逆の視点から考えてみればいい。 IBN5100 を岡部が手に入れてセルンにあるデータを消すその瞬間が分岐の臨界点なんだと思う。おそらくその瞬間ダイバージェンスは 1% オーバーに達するはず。
問題は IBN5100 が今はどこにあるかだ。
岡部は一度 IBN5100 を手に入れている。あんたの記憶が妄想じゃなければな。その世界線へもう一度行けることができれば必然的に手元に戻ってくるんじゃない？
なるほど。そうか。IBN5100 はある時を境にラボから忽然と姿を消した。
前にそのことで騒いでたわね。あの時は岡部がついに妄想と現実の区別がつかなくなったかと思って心の中で「おーゴッド」ってつぶやいてた。
Thought we had that ability in the first place?
何がオーゴッドだ。クリスチャンはクリスチャンとでも言いたいのか。
I actually enjoyed that joke quite a whole lot. Sue looks at me in disdain as soon as those words leave my lips.
誰がうまいこと言えと言った？
俺も口に出してから後悔した。
This is no time for puns.
それでクリスティーナ、お前はこう言いたいんだな。俺たちが生じさせてしまった世界の歪み、すなわちこれまでに世界線を変動させた全ての D メールを打ち消していけば IBN5100 を俺が柳林神社で見つけた世界線へと戻ることができると。
From what I've experienced so far, I'm confident that the IBN 5100's disappearance from the lab wasn't due to theft. After all, I was sleeping at the lab, and whenever I wasn't around, another lab man was. I was occupied every hour of the day. It would have been impossible for someone to steal that heavy computer without anyone noticing. It makes more sense to assume that a D-mail caused us to diverge from the world line where I found the IBN 5100 at Yanabayashi Shrine. There is not a joke-inator here, Mim.
あくまで仮説だけど私はあんたの説明だけをもとに判断しているから。もしあんたが事実誤認をしていたり私を騙そうとしていたり妄想を垂れ流していた場合はこの仮説はあっけなく破綻する。
This assistant of mine has no confidence in me at all.
この仮説を盲目的に信じてもらっても困る。保険はいくつかあるとはいえ迂闊な行動をとってもしも罪になってしまったら真由里を二度と助けられなくなるんだから。
I know that. I'd ask for Suzuha's opinion too, if she were here. On this world line, she traveled to 1975 on the night of August 9th. No way I can speak to her now.
どうして IBN5100 が消えたのか。これまでに送った D メールの中のどれが IBN5100 の消えた原因なのか。それを突き止めるのが解を導くための近道ね。
わからないのは真由里の死ぬタイミングがちょうど24時間ずれたことだ。
確かに気になるな。ダイバージェンスが変わったことが関係してるのかな。バタフライエフェクトの可能性がある。それならほんの些細な原因でも結果には大きな誤差が生じる。とにかく 慎重な行動が大切。不用意なことはしない方がいい。例えば一番危険なのはあんたが死ぬこと。世界線を越えて記憶を継続できるのはおそらく岡部だけだから。あんたが死んだら真由里も助けられなくなると思いなさい。絶対に死なないで。
もしかして心配してくれているのか？
は？何それ？誰得？そんなわけないでしょ。勘違いするな。つまり死ぬなって言ったのはあんたが貴重な被験者だからよ。そうなの。
Sure.
世界線云々はともかく、あんたのその何度もタイムリープしていながら記憶が継続してる脳ってのは脳科学史を塗り替えるくらい貴重なサンプルであって。
Joke.
あんたの脳をマッピングして一体何がどうなってるのか確かめたい気分よ。だから引き続き実験をガンガンやってくれると私としても助かるわけ。タイムリープマシンはいわば私の研究の成果でもあるんだから。
落ち着け。
Chrissy turns away with a sour expression, also known as her default expression. This assistant of mine can be difficult sometimes. Anyway, I consider her hypothesis. In order to return to the world line where I found the IBN 5100 at Yanabayashi Shrine, we need to cancel all the D-mails we sent so far. The theory is sound, and I've got nothing else to go on. I check the clock. It's 6:42 p.m. Only 1 hour until Moeka's raid. I decide to time leap once more to the afternoon of the 13th, just before the time leap machine is completed.
クリスティーナ、お前の案を試してみる。
そう。
Great. Take Chrissy's hand and grasp it firmly. Firmly grasp it.
お前には何度も助けられているな。いつもすまない。
謝るな、バカ。調子狂うでしょ。
This could be another scene where I feel like it could be different if we're on the true ending line.
そもそも前にあんたを助けたことなんて私はちっとも覚えてないのよ。どう責任取ってくれるの？
Why is she getting mad at me? I just don't understand her.
できれば覚えておきたかった。そうすればあんたの情けない姿をネタにいつでもプギャーってできたから。
お前は実に性格が悪いな。
あんたが言うな。
That, I'll leap 28 hours into the past. Whee! It's not a time leap, it's a time sleep! And it would be what? 10 minutes to 3 from him? Time leap complete. Standing in the lab as usual. My brain feels like it's been pinched. I endure the pain as I check my watch. It's 1:47 p.m. Chrissy's almost done with the time leap machine, and Mayuri is almost done with Lukako's costume. They should both be done in about 10 minutes. I leave the lab and sit on the bench in front of the Brawn Tube workshop. Let's go over the plan. Cancel all the D-mails that have changed the past so far. Of course, that includes D-mails sent by people other than me. Specifically, I'm only concerned with the D-mails that triggered reading Steiner. We sent several of them as experiments. For example, Operation Erd Stage 2, the Lotto 6 experiment involved one such D-mail. The real problem is what other people sent. Mayuri and Chrisu haven't sent any D-mails. Daru sent his past self a strategy to win the Ferris Cup, but reading Steiner didn't activate, so divergence must not have changed. That leaves 3 D-mails to deal with, those sent by Moeka, Lukako, and Ferris. Most problematic is the one Ferris sent, which is also the most recent. I have no idea what it said, so I don't know how to cancel it. Varys' D-mail caused a dramatic change to Akiba. All of the Moe stores disappeared. That's my only hint. I'm the only one who remembers how things were before the change, so I won't get an answer from Varys even if I ask her directly. But still, have to at least try. I should get in touch with her. Okay, here's our answer, Samus. We have an option here. We can get in touch with her, or I guess just not. I'm not sure why you wouldn't. Like, I'm curious what happens if you don't. So I'm looking. I have like saved. Yes, I'm cheating. Yes, I'm cheating. I mean, you can't really spam me with... I mean, I guess you can do that. It doesn't actually look like this does anything. Maybe it's just telling me that I have to actually call her. Actually, outgoing. Just give it to her straight. I send it. Afterwards, I sit and stare at the screen waiting. I've already tried sending 3 emails and calling 4 or 5 times, but 30 minutes passed without a single response. So Samus, the only reason I have it open, I wouldn't let it sway my choice if it was something that mattered, but if it was something that, say, gave an optional cutscene that you wouldn't get otherwise, I would do it just to show you guys more things. And then you can also live through the pain of watching Mayuri become a jellyman like I did. Unable to hide my frustration, I storm off towards Varys' apartment. I arrive at the tall apartment building soaked in sweat. Was it good watching her become a jellyman? No. It was not good. I've been running an awful lot lately. It's made me realize how out of shape I am. And what's even worse is, even with all this running he's done, he keeps going back in time, so his body doesn't actually retain any of the running he's done. He just keeps losing it. I wish I worked out more. You have this awful curiosity about it. You'll hate yourself if you know, but you want to know. If you want, Samus, I can send you a picture of it after. I can look it up so you don't have to. Yeah, Mim, I guess you missed the part at the very beginning where I was talking about I've started to go back and replay the game to get the true ending, so you guys don't have to sit through it, because it's just a lot of me just like mashing X to get through the text to the actual important points. And I came across an extra Mayuri death, where she gets captured by Stern and gets sent back in time to like the 1960s and gets turned into a jellyman. They don't really explain it, but the theory that Okabe comes up with is that from the second they capture Mayuri and their plan is to send her back in time, because it doesn't matter when they send her back in time, she'll go back in time to the 60s. They can pull up images of her already being turned into jelly even before she's sent back in time. And then they send one to Okabe as a threat. This complex has an automatic lock, so I have to call up from the lobby intercom. I enter the number for Ferris's apartment, and a man's calm voice soon replies.
どちら様でしょうか?
Yes, there is a picture attachment of Mayuri as a Jellyman. There are also other Jellyman pics we've seen of other people. Actually, do I have those? Or were... I think those might have been in the articles we viewed when we hacked CERN's database. I don't think I have them on my phone. Okay. Let's look at ones that have attachments. That's old computer. Yeah, they also might have just been deleted off this phone as we've gone back and forth in time. Is that the same one? Yes. I don't see any others with the oh, there's one. That's just the jelly. And we don't have one of the severed doll head, which is super creepy. This one have one? No, that was just weird stuff. You don't remember seeing... Okay, so they must have been when we're hacking CERN and we're going through all their data, but yes, we have actual photos of what people turn to jelly, and their bodies are like half stuck in walls or like the pavement, like their torso or like their legs are coming out and they're turned to jelly, and the rest of them is like embedded inside the concrete. Judging by the voice, it's not Ferris's dad, but her butler.
岡部と言います。フェイリーじゃなくて、ルミホさんにお会いしたいんですが。
残念ながら、お嬢様はただいまこちらにはいらっしゃいません。
じゃあ今どこに？
それについてはお答えできません。あなた様がお嬢様にとって好ましくない人物であるという可能性もありますので。
前に一度ここには遊びに来てますよ。
おっしゃる通りでございますが、やはり私からはお嬢様の居場所はお教えできません。お嬢様
He is a good butler.
ご連絡をお願いいたします。
I mean, we've tried. Is that enough? No. It's obviously trying to end the conversation, so I panicked to get the last word in.
待ってください。フェイリスと大至急連絡を取りたいんですけど、電話してもメールしても繋がらないんですよ。
I mean, that's probably not going to help your side. The butler's probably like, I guess she doesn't want to talk to you.
では、お時間をお改めください。
Frustrated by this new turn of events, my anger threatens to boil over. Damn inflexible geezer. I leave the lobby. May Queen plus Nian Square doesn't exist on this world line. Ferris isn't responding to my calls or emails either. Where could she be? Underneath the incandescent heat of the sun, I suddenly get an idea. Daru. If anyone knows where Ferris is, it'll be that stalker of hers.
もしもし、オカリン。
It's awfully noisy on the other end of the phone. I don't care about that.
ダリオ、フェイリスが今どこにいるか心当たりはないか？
フェイリスタン
？1秒でも早く連絡を取りたいのだ。
今すぐは無理じゃね？
場所さえ教えてくれればいい。フェイリスの行きそうな場所ぐらいお前なら完璧に把握しているだろう。
どこにいるかなら知ってるよ。
どこだ？どこにいる？
UPX の会場。
UPX? I look up. I'm standing right in front of UPX.
会場とはなんだ？
今日はライネット AB グラちゃんの決勝戦なわけだが。
ライネット AB グラちゃん？
ライネットアクセスバトラーズグランドチャンピオンシップの略だろう。
If you have to explain it, it was not a good short form.
日本中のライネッターが参加してる大会の決勝戦だお。そこにフェイリスタンが出場してる。ちなみにフェイリスタンは今年冬のグラちゃんの優勝者でもあるんで、 ディフェンディングチャンピオン。これ豆知識な。
決勝戦。
で、僕は今まさにそれを会場で観戦中。つうか、今まさにフェイリスタンがデュエル中なわけだが。
That's why.
今から行く。何階だ？
オカリン、チケット持ってんの？
持っていないが、なんとかなるだろう。
それ無理。警備がめっちゃ厳重だし、テロ予告まがいの書き込みがアットちゃんにあったらしくてさ、きっとオカリンは入れないわな。
それなら外に出てきてくれ。俺も UPX の前にいる。お前のチケットを貸してほしい。
だが断る。4時までには終わるから出待ちしてれば会えんじゃね？
おい、誰
I mean, we can wait as long as we want, because we can just time leap back. It doesn't matter to us. That inflexible bastard. Looks like I don't have a choice. All I can do is wait like Daru suggested. At 4, tons of people spew out of the building. Mostly parents with children, but there are also some men and women in their 20s and 30s. I see 0 children in this picture. We've lived this day 100 times. Have you not heard of this tournament until now? Probably because before this he was worried about Mayuri not dying and didn't care about what Ferris was doing. Seems like a wide customer base. Some people are dressed in cosplay. Once again, I see none of that, unless the characters in this game are just like regular people. Others are carrying Rhinet goods in paper bags. They're the ones you'd expect to be here. Maybe I should try calling Ferris again. Hint, hint. We also don't care about Daru, and to be entirely honest, I don't blame us. My frustration peaks. I tell myself to calm down, but it doesn't work. One obstacle after another, I'm on the verge of losing it. Pace back and forth as I watch the exiting crowd. I try calling Daru again, but now even he's not answering. Looks like I don't have a choice. I approach several men gathered near the UPX entrance. They've got tattered leather jackets, excessive silver accessories. Not the sort of people I usually hang out with.
ライネットチャンピオンのフェイリスさんは今どこにいるか知ってますか？
They suddenly give me dangerous looks.
ライネットチャンピオンのフェイリス
Why does this character look so crappy in comparison to every other one they've done?
聞いたかよお前ら。
The man tosses a grin to the other members of his posse. Snobby, unpleasant laughter resounds. I struggle to suppress my
知
anger.
っているなら教えてほしいんですが。
Now, the man directs his grin towards me.
てめえ、あの元チャンプの仲間か。
Why is his name Man Who Seems to Whisper to Gaia to Shine More? Former champ? While I'm puzzling this out, the man suddenly steps right up in my face. Something smashes into my forehead. Stars explode behind my eyes. I fall onto my back. It's hot above my brow, as if a branding iron was pressed to it. That quickly fades to a dull throbbing. Finally realize that the nutcase headbutted me. What the hell? Why would he do that? Did I do something to this guy? Is he just a Ferris hater? That's the first time in a while we've had a new thing. People who post negative comments about someone or something on the internet. They appear in places where fans of those people or things gather. Provoke them by posting derogatory things. I stagger to my feet. The man stoops to pick up his hat, which fell off when he headbutted me. I don't think he had a hat on before. Also, he now looks like he's burnt part of his hair. Is that supposed to be our blood? Or did I just not notice that before? That's when I see it. You thought it was a... I see it! I see the cockroach! Well, apparently they're going to explain it. Right on top of his head, there's a small space devoid of hair. There's no way I could miss it. So it's a bald patch, apparently. I guess that's supposed to be like the buzzed hair of it. A bald spot. Oh, he did have a hat. And they put it on and he gets taller. Man, I should be like Cat Daddy, just put on more hats. Apparently they make me taller. Also, now his name is Man with a Bald Spot, who seems to whisper to Guy to shine more.
俺のダーティーなハートがざわついちまったのさ。あのメス猫を未だにチャンプ呼ばわりする奴がいることにな。いいか、俺の前で二度とフェイリスなんていう脳眼中な女をチャンプと呼ぶな。それが嫌だというなら、ストリートシーンにおいてこの俺、黒の絶対霊度ことシドス様に身も心も凍らされる覚悟を決めろ。
Please add black absolute 0 4 degrees Celsius to this name. Please. How dare you call any cat girl disgusting? The hell is this guy talking about? He's obviously living in his own stupid world.
俺はシド。数字の4に温度の度でシド。秋葉に降臨した最強のダテワルライネッタ。誰もこの高みには近づけさせねえ。知ってるか？ドライアイスは肌をやけどさせるんだぜ。
His name is now 4 degrees Celsius.
それはやけどではなく凍傷だ。
何？
When I point out the scientific truth, the man with a bald spot and his lackeys get pissed. This doesn't look good. I don't have time to get into a fight. I decide to stage a tactical retreat. Afterwards, I go to the assembly hall and ask the staff about Ferris. No luck. I try calling Daro again. He says maybe she went home already in a bummed out voice. This is important. Argue scientific facts with them. I return to Ferris's apartment building and ring the intercom again. The butler responds once more.
岡部と言います。フェイリ、ルミホさんは帰ってますか？
少々お待ちくださいませ。
It sounds like she's home. The intercom goes silent for a while. Can I send her a text message? I cannot. And then the door's automatic lock opens, allowing me inside the elevator hall.
どうぞお部屋までお越しくださいませ。お嬢様がお会いになるそうです。
I give him my thanks and hurry into the elevator. Butler guides me into the bedroom. This is no bedroom. Where Ferris is sitting on the sofa, hugging her knees. Also, whose bedroom has a sofa? He doesn't look up, even when I approach.
フェイリス、やっと会えた。お前に聞きたいことがある。
We basically haven't really seen Ferris since she sent her D-mail. Because I think we invite her to all the, the parties, but she never actually comes. I don't think so.
ふにゃー。
She looks exhausted, like all the life has been drained out of her. Never seen Ferris like
一
this.
体どうしたんだ？元気がないようだが。
Is that in actual real-world streaming time, or in game time? Because I would believe we've lived through 30 days to repeated to get back to here.
こんなこと。
I mean, that bad ending alone.
どうして
Real-world
フェイリ
stream
スと負
time?
けな
Yeah,
きゃいけないの
probably.
にゃ。あいつらの卑怯な邪魔がにゃければ。あいつら寄ってたかってフェイリスに妨害を。
How did they gang up on you in a card game?
絶対に勝つって約束したのに。パパ、きっとがっかりしてるにゃ。合わせる顔がないにゃ。
What is she saying? No. Wait. I think I get it. I recall what happened after Ferris's final match in the Ryanette Championship. That leather-clad asshole called her the former champ. Guess that means she lost, and that's why she's depressed. He's just realizing this now. Feel bad for Ferris, but I don't have time to deal with this.
フェイリス
Actually, you are the only person who has all the time in the world to deal with this, my friend. Ferris blinks her eyes repeatedly when I grab her by the shoulders. Her eyes are glazed and empty of light.
お前は以前俺たちが発明したタイムマシンで D メールを送ったそのことを覚えているか
はにゃ。
I knew it was useless, but I had to ask. Ferris doesn't remember. In fact, from her perspective, it never happened. How do I explain?
例えば考えてみてくれこの秋葉にはもともとアニメやゲームなどの萌え系グッズを売るショップがたくさんあったもし仮にお前がタイムマシンを使ってそんな秋葉を今のような電気街にするとしたらどういう方法を取る
I know it's a really cryptic question. I can't think of a better way.
タイムマシン。
Ferris murmurs with a blank expression on her face.
タイムマシン。
She repeats the same phrase. Ferris's eyes gradually regain their brightness. Then, all at once...
今日も
I don't even remember how old she's supposed to be, but I don't like where this is going. She presses up against me.
何を
It's this angle so she can grab our shirt and look like she has cat hands. That's exactly why this angle exists. What have you returned? So we finally track down Ferris, and when we ask her, if you changed Akihabara from being Moe Central to just electronics, how would you do it? And her response was to grip us and show us this camera angle. And apparently let us know that she smells good. Ferris's cat ears tickle my nose. This sentence has two different meanings. I go stiff, not knowing what to do about this sudden turn of events. So it's not canon that the characters in the game control the camera? I mean, the only one I can think of, well, actually, I can think of a couple. So you have, like, Outlast, where you're holding the camera. You have Super Mario 64, where it shows you there's a Lakitu with the camera, same with, like, the Mario Kart that's filming you. You shall Google whether we're safe. Ferris looks up at me. She looks so desperate, I feel my heart pound
タイ
faster.
ムマシンって本当なのかにゃ。
I'm pretty sure we're safe, because I'm also pretty sure I looked up the ESRB rating for this game. We've gone through the two things it warns about. The shower scene and the rape scene. 17, do we consider this safe? So far, it's sketchy, but it's safe. We're just gonna keep going and not draw attention to it. And if it gets bad, I can block it with my face. Farah stares at me even more intensely, like she's trying to see inside my soul.
信じるにゃ。
Just when I get the feeling she's believed me way too easily, she suddenly starts clutching her head.
シンを使ったような気がするのにゃ。
Abort.
本当か？
I have my hand on the abort key.
フェイリスはタイムマシンに乗ってビューンと。
She's clearly making this up because you do not get on the time machine.
何？お前が使ったのは過去へ送ることのできる D メールなんだが。
そうにゃ。まただんだん思い出してきたにゃ。
Ferris then holds her head, looks at me with tears in her eyes.
頭が
Except her eyes are still closed.
これは
She's pulling an us, by the way, of doing like, oh, my head hurts as I'm trying to remember things. Does Ferris have reading Steiner too? I don't know. Need to find out, but how? Calm down, I need to think. Should I contact Chrisu? Or should I...
今日も
Can I actually contact her? Let's
フェ
see.
イリスは
No. Ferris continues to cling to me. All I can do is hold her warm, soft, slender body in my arms. I need to make her remember somehow.
頭の中がぐちゃぐちゃになりそうにゃ。
しっかりしろ。俺にできることはなんだ？
勝てれば思い出せるかもにゃ。
何？勝つって何に？
バイラルアタッカーズにゃ。今日の決勝の相手だったにゃ。でも卑怯な妨害行為にあって負けちゃったのにゃ。そのせいでフェイリスは頭の中がぐちゃぐちゃで思い出すものも思い出せないのにゃ。お願いにゃ。今日もフェイリスは決勝で勝てさえすれば全部思い出すと思うのにゃ。だからタイムマシンを使わせて。
No, we're not going through this again.
お前、ちなみにこれは演技じゃないよな。
何のことかにゃ。
Don't tell me. She just wants to use the time machine to win a Rhinet match. Considering her personality, that's actually pretty likely. After all, this is a girl who twists men around her finger.
ひどいにゃ。
And then Ferris starts crying into my chest.
フェイリスは今日のために一生懸命思い出そうとしてるのに、それを演技だなんて言われて傷ついたにゃ。
いや、すまない。
Tears emerge from the corners of her eyes. I have no idea what to do in this situation. Judging by her tears, I don't think she's lying. There's really no basis to the theory that she'll remember if she wins the Rhinet tournament.
お願いにゃ。
Ferris whispers into my ear.
フェイリスを勝たせてほしいのにゃ。
Immediately afterwards, I feel something warm and wet on my earlobe. Ferris brushes her teeth against my ear, sending electricity through my entire body.
は？待て！わかったから！
I quickly pull away from Ferris. That was dangerous. I almost exploded.
わかった、フェイリス。お前の言う通りにする。
本当かにゃ。
Okay, game.
ああ、どうしても記憶を取り戻してもらいたいからな。
Why these sentences? Because the people who wrote the dialogue for this game hate me. Ferris tries to throw her arms around me, but I quickly evade. She face dives into the sofa awkwardly. The sofa's behind us. What are you talking about? Or behind her.
ふにゃなんで避けるにゃ
Yes, they hate me specifically.
いや、お前が慣れ慣れしすぎるのだ。
Not good at dealing with Ferris. He's using me here, I'm sure. I'm being tricked, aren't I? Shake my head. Even so, I have no choice but to help her win the tournament. I'll try anything that could possibly yield results. As long as I keep doing that, I'll find a solution, eventually. I have to believe
これ
that.
から俺は今日の朝へと飛んでお前に助言を与える。これでお前は決勝に勝てるはずだ。
Okay, he actually has a better idea. Instead of sending another D-mail that we have to undo later, he's just gonna leap back to this morning.
メールを送るんじゃないのかにゃ
すでに我がラボでは意識を過去へとタイムリープさせることが可能な装置を開発済みだ。
すごいにゃつまり強くてニューゲームってことだにゃ
A new game plus.
そういうことだ。
Don't play along. Whatever you do, don't play along.
だったらそれを使ってフェイリスを今日の朝に飛ばしてくれればバッチリにゃ
If you're not familiar with New Game Plus, often in like RPGs, especially JRPGs, once you've beaten the game, you unlock New Game Plus, which is a new game, but you can carry over stuff like items, and like your completion percent. She's saying you get to basically restart with more memories. You get to restart your game, as it were, but with more memories.
ダメだ。
New game minus is what I do when you haven't played a game for a while. I'm a fan of New Game
なん
Tilde.
でにゃ
タイムリープマシンは俺以外の誰にも使わせる気はない。
今日まずるいにゃ
あれはおいそれと使っていいものじゃない。危険なものなんだ。
New game minus. It's like a new game. Sorry, New Game Tilde. It's like New Game minus, but they randomize which things you don't get. And yeah, then you can soft lock yourself. Going from a one-handed heavy armor character to a stealth bow. So all of my Skyrim characters. Heavy armor, like one weapon, healing, and then bow for stealth. It has yet to fail once so far, but my luck might not last forever. Souza had lost her memory after traveling in a broken time machine. Her time machine was different, of course, but something similar could happen with the time leap machine. Considering the time leap machine's low budget and rush schedule, it wouldn't be surprising if it broke somehow. There's one more thing. I shouldn't allow anyone else to change the past. My goal is to return to the world line with the IBN 5100, and use it to escape from the Alpha Attractor field. The fewer changes made, the better.
過去は俺が責任を持って改変する。俺を信じろ。
Yeah, that's like me, Samus. I had to just stop playing it because all my characters end up being the same build. So I just make a character and be like, okay, this character's doing like the whatever, the werewolf side quest line, and then this character is doing the vampire, and this one's doing the mage college.
わかったにゃ
And then once I did that, I would just stop that character. Yeah, exactly. I brace my wobbling feet. My vision recovers, I check the clock. 10:38 a.m. The time leap was successful. According to Ferris, she lost the match due to cleverly concealed interference from the opposing team. Ferris told me how to counter that. Her plan?
サングラスと耳栓を 決勝前のフェイリスに渡してほしいにゃ。そうすれば妨害なんてへっちゃらで 100% 勝てるにゃ。
Wonder if she's right. No, now is not the time to doubt. Fair said she would arrive at the assembly hall around 12. Head to UPX. Make sure to buy sunglasses and earplugs on the way. There's still half an hour before the tournament begins, but there's already a line outside of UPX. Didn't think there would be many participants since it's already the finals. It turns out there's another tournament for the general public at the same time. The opening act, so to speak. The participants enter the hall through a different entrance than the spectators. I'm at the participants' entrance, waiting for Ferris to make her appearance. After about 15 minutes, Ferris appears. I don't have the patience to stick with the game for that long. Or get to where you left off last time, you need a break, then lose track of the game. Oh, dang it, Samus. That's the second time this stream we've lost the game. I typically play with a 1 hour cooldown on losing the game, because that's enough time to actually forget. You did it to yourself this time, too. She lives right next door to UPX, so she's got a lot of leeway time-wise. Got her cat ears and her maid uniform on. You grew up on 20 minutes, but you also forgot things within 5 minutes. 1 hour I just found was easier. It was easier just to be like, okay, I forgot at 2 something. Is it 3 something now? Rather than be like, I forgot at 2 something. Is it 2 something plus 20 minutes now? Feels strange to see her wearing that uniform despite May Queen not existing on this world line. Speaking of, how did this stream start? In what way? Yes, we found Ferris. And we found Mim. Ferris's eyes open wide when she sees me.
ここで何してるにゃ?
Like what happened at the very beginning of the stream? I'm pretty sure we lost the game at the beginning of the stream too. And then I just talked about all the backtracking I've had to do.
お前に会いたくて待っていたのだ。
もしかしてそれって愛の告白かにゃ。大事な試合の前にそんな告白されても困るにゃ。
なんでだよ。勘違いするな。そんなわけがあるか。
Yeah, we had to send the D-mail canceling the D-mail that kept Suzuha here.
今日の京馬はノリが悪いにゃ。いつもならもっと言い返してくるはずにゃ。
I don't have time to be Hyo and Kyoma now.
決勝前でナーバスなんだからもっと盛り上げてほしいにゃ。
She doesn't look nervous.
いいから聞いてくれ、フェイリス。これはお前が決勝で勝つための重要なことなんだ。
重要？でも京馬はライネットのルールちっとも知らないはずにゃ。
いや、ルールとかそういう問題じゃなくてだな。
じゃあなんなのにゃ。
Appears at me with questioning eyes. I'd better give her the goods before I screw this up.
これを受け取ってくれ。
I try handing over the sunglasses and earplugs I bought on the way here. Ferris pulls back, as if on guard.
京馬？なんかキモいにゃ。
How rude.
普通プレゼントならもっと喜ばれるようなものを。
そうじゃない。これは妨害対策なんだよ。
にゃ？
いいか、よく聞け。俺は未来から来た。
知ってるにゃ。
何？
She knows how. She doesn't know. Why?
ちなみにフェイリスは宇宙から来たのにゃ。
Don't forget, this is Ferris Neon Neon we're dealing with.
冗談を言ってるわけじゃない。俺は確かに今日の夕方6時から飛んできたんだよ。今日のライネットグラちゃん決勝の結果を俺は知っている。
聞かなくてもわかるにゃん。フェイリスの圧勝。
いいや、お前は負けた。
にゃおー。
Ferris frowns.
だがそれは敵チームの妨害にあったせいだ。だからその妨害からフェイリスを守るためにこうしてサングラスと耳栓を持ってきたわけで。
I desperately try to convince her, but Ferris just hangs her head, making it hard to read her expression.
聞いているのか。
I grab Ferris's slender shoulders. She's shaking.
フェイリス。
うにゃー。今日のにゃんばか。
And then she suddenly explodes.
今日はフェイリスにとっては大事な試合なのによくも負けるとか言ったにゃ。フェイリスをへこませるなんて、さてはバイラルアタッカーズの回し者かにゃ。
いやだから実力で負けたわけではなく。
ふみや、聞きたくないにゃ。
Not listening. The heck is that sound? After a swift kick to my shin, Ferris turns her back to me in a huff. Damn you, cat girl. For once in your life, listen to me.
待て待てってば。どうしてもお前に勝ってもらわなければ困るのだ。
だからフェイリスは負けないにゃ。それにそんなキモいメガネなんてかけたくないにゃ。フェイリスは常に可愛いからこそファンのみんなに喜んでもらえてるのにゃ。
Yep. Crap, she's getting angry at me now. Ferris shakes me off and runs to the participant entrance. Not a participant, so if she makes it inside, that's the end of it.
話を最後まで聞いてくれ。
Bearing the pain in my shin, I force my way in front of Ferris and stand in her way.
フェイリス頼む。これにはマユリの命がかかっているんだ。
Ferris suddenly starts shouting. He grabs the attention of the surrounding participants and spectators. Even staff members are gathering. Crap, I can't talk about time machines or Ferris' life with this much attention around us. But unless I can get Ferris to listen to me, there's no way I can undo her D-mail. What should I do?
ずいぶん余裕かましてるじゃねえか、チャンピオン。
That smug voice. A tall man, dressed entirely in black, walks up to us with a grin on his face. Whenever he takes a step, all of his silver accessories jingle. Please have the awesome name. He dramatically takes off his sunglasses, revealing the face of that guy who gave me trouble before. If I'm not mistaken, he called himself 4 degrees Celsius or something like that. Hold on, dude who's gonna punch me in the face. Let me just check my text messages. Okay, Myuri. Today's worry. This morning I couldn't find Pockety. I almost started crying. The sound of its ticking calms me down. If I lost it, it would be a big shock. I don't know how I'd apologize to Granny. I was so relieved to find Pockety safe and sound. Are you talking about your pocket watch? I thought I told you to stop with that weird naming scheme of yours. Be careful, that secret ability of yours, Unlimited Clockworks, it's a double-edged sword, or... You used to take naps on your grandmother's lap, didn't you? I'm gonna go with this one, because it's, sounds actually nice, and we get to know her more. Oh, I'm sorry, did I interrupt your speech? I'm ready now.
俺の名はシド。数字の4に温度の度でシド。バイラルアタッカーズのリーダーをやってる。
バイラルアタッカーズ。
The viral attackers? I've heard that name somewhere before. That's right, they're Ferris's opponents this match. Trying to start a fight now. This is a guy who headbutts people out of nowhere. He seems to hate Ferris for some reason.
マジな話、がっかりだぜ、チャンピオン。てめえが体勢にこびた格好をしてるだけでも、俺の心はざわつくってのによ。そのくせ決勝前に、ヘボそうな男との汚れた愛に浸ってるとはな。シャムネコを気取ってるてめえの白い毛並みを、俺が今日のデュエルで漆黒に染めてやるよ。そうしろと囁くんだ、ガイアがな。黒猫はディザスターの象徴。俺の黒い輝きはお前という影を消し去り、ライネットのニュージェネレーションを迎える。俺という生きるロックマインドに女どもはもう虜だぜ。
Is this what it's like hearing us talk? This just stupidity? Damn, this guy can talk. I have no idea what he's saying. Yeah, okay, it's like talking to us. Ferris seems to be thinking the same thing.
なんでみんなフェイリスの邪魔するにゃ。もっと静かに集中させてほしいにゃ。
The ability to speak does not make you intelligent. This is very true. With that said, she quickly tries to enter the hall. I grab her hand to detain her.
フェイリス、待てと言っているだろう。
話すにゃ。
頼む、俺の話を聞いてくれ。
おい待て。このライネットの真理に最も近い男を無視してるんじゃねえ。
いや、お前に用はないからこっち見るな。
だと俺をライネット界の黒い貴公子と知って言ってんのか。
ライネット界の黒いクジャクじゃないのか。さっきと言っていることが違うぞ。
黒いクジャクであり黒い貴公子なんだよ。黒はライネットの象徴だからな。
Promotional posters all have a blue and white motif. Doesn't look like black is the image color to me.
なんだ、黒と言いたいだけか。
バカにしやがって。決勝のデュエル前にここでそのメス猫を黒く染めてやるよ。
4 degrees Celsius approaches with an angry look on his face. I also love his 4 degrees lock around his neck. I'm the one who should be angry. Myri's life hangs in the balance. Ferris isn't cooperating either. Can we just call him four raised tiny circle C? I can't believe this is happening. How can I get this guy to go away? For a moment's consideration, I decide to face him as Hoen Kiyoma.
俺に触れたらどうなるか知ってるか。ドライアイスは肌もやけど。
His chest looks really nasty. It looks like it's super flat, but he's got the like the tendons coming through if you're like super muscular. But yeah, it's weird.
それはやけどではなく凍傷だ。
な、
Aha! Power of science.
ポエムならばチラシの裏にでも書いていろ。
Your giggles from all around.
笑われてるぜ。
Or he's so thin his ribs are showing. That actually probably checks out more. I mean, he's got a very well-defined collarbone too, and it looks like the start of abs right before his 2 fingers, which I don't know why he's just like standing around like this while he's talking to us. The hell is Lamont?
違うな。笑われているのは貴様だ。10円ハゲの黒いクジャク。
な、今この俺のマインドに新感が走ったぜ。てめえ、俺のアンタッチャブルな黒点をなぜ知っている。 誰にも喋ったことはねえのに。
Four raised tiny circle sees face turns red.
案ずるな 4°C。 俺は狂気のマッドサイエンティストにしてタイムリーパー。
Okay,
全てを見据える男。
so
王院強魔なのだ。
this is something that's lost in translation. In Japanese counting and words in general, there's two ways you can read things, an on reading and the kun reading, I think. So when he's been saying his name before, he's been saying Shindo, C. And Shin is one of the ways you can say for. Now, Okabe here has called him Yondo, C. Yon being the other way you can say for. But that is something completely lost in translation, even though they put it in brackets.
4°C じゃねえ。シードだ。許さねえ。てめえら、絶対に許さねえ。
I don't get why it's supposed to be an insult, but I know what he's doing. Your garden is called the Black Hell? Oh yeah, shades. Puts on his sunglasses and leaves. Consider this payback for the headbutt.
今日も今どうやってシドの弱点を見抜いたのにゃ？誰も知らない情報だったのにゃ。
言っただろう。俺は未来から来たのだと。
ああ。
それより頼むフェイリス。これを受け取ってほしい。とにかく持っているだけでいいんだ。
でもフェイリスが負けるなんてありえないにゃ。
実力ではお前が上だ。だが今話して分かっただろう。奴らは明らかにドキュンどもだ。ライネッターにふさわしくない行動も勝つためなら平気でやってくるぞ。
そこまで言うなら。
Looks like my desperation paid off. Varys reluctantly accepts the 2 items I present to her. Of course, she doesn't take them out of the bag.
本当に持つだけにゃ？それでいいかにゃ。
ああ、決勝戦で絶対に必要になるから手放すなよ。
Sooner or later, she won't have a choice. Did we just, like, mug Daru for his ticket? The theme song to Rainet Kakeru plays through the hall, signaling the start of the finals. There's a kind of majesty to the scene. The tension of the crowd peaks as its voltage reaches a climax. Feel like you're missing something. Is it your bedtime? I'd like to point out that once again, this room has no children and no people in cosplay, as they described, coming out. We're not sure what they do, but they do something that interferes with her. I'm not sure if it's a distraction, or they, like, get in her head some way. Can't be trousers, can't miss something you don't have. I'm glad my eardrums got blasted by that today. Thank you, announcer. Varys makes her entrance to thunderous cheering. She smiles brightly and waves to the audience. She really is like a queen. I notice she's not wearing the sunglasses I gave her.
対するは今年彗星のごとく現れたダークホースならぬダークピーコック。
Okay.
初参加ながら対戦相手の危険などのトラブルを経て勝ち上がってきた黒の絶対レード。
That doesn't sound like trouble to them, no showing opponents. I mean, that just sounds like his friends took him out back and beat their kneecaps off.
バイラーアタッカー。
Also, I thought this was a one-on-one card game. I don't understand how it's like them, like a team of them versus her. Screams at Popeye in a friendly manner. Thank you, Mim. The viral attackers consists of 4 raised tiny circles C and some short guy with the same black leather fetish. They look like a couple of punks straight out of Ikebukuro. I sit in stupefied awe as the excitement around me builds. Daru taps me on the shoulder. How did we get in?
オカリンもフェイリスタンを応援してくれよ。
ああ。
Oblivious to my anxiety, Daru starts jumping and waving his hands in the air.
フェイリスタン！フェイリス！愛してるよ！萌え萌え！
Cameras flash as everyone tries to get a picture of the cat girl.
みんな今日は頑張るからぜひぜひ応援してにゃ
Starts screaming at Mim, definitely friendly. The speakers carry her cute, cheerful voice to every corner of the hall. Apparently they gave microphones to both teams so they could talk to the audience.
えへへへサービスショットにゃ
Please, no. Ferris puts on an impish smile and turns to the audience in a sexy pose. Whoa! That was me screaming for you for once. How'd you like that game? The entire hall shakes with the audience's roar. Ferris's popularity is overwhelming. That was a great scream tonight. There are people sleeping. I can unfortunately not do an actual scream. Otherwise, if I was like living alone and it would not like bother anyone else, like neighbors or anything, I would totally have screamed that as loud as I could into the microphone. Daru has totally lost it. Wonder if Ferris will be alright. Judging from her enthusiasm, it certainly looks like she'll be fine. Once the cheering dies down, I speak to Daru.
なあ、どうしてフェイリスは一人なのにバイラルアタッカーズ
Thank you for actually asking a question I had.
オカリン、それについても知らないん？
Not familiar with the rules of Rhinehead Axis Battlers. I had Daru explain them before the final started, but he only covered the basics.
もともとグラちゃんは2人でタッグを組んで戦ってくんだよ。でもフェイリスタンはデュエルパートナーに見合う人がいないって理由で1人なんだ。2人の方が明らかに有利なんだけどさ、それでも冬のグラちゃんでは優勝しちゃったんだからかっこいいよな。そこにしびれる、憧れる。
バイラルアタッカーズというのはどういうチームなの？
あんまり詳しくないけど、かなり攻撃的な戦術を取るチームらしいよ。ただそれ以上にうさんくさい噂をよく聞くんだよね。
Suspicious.
取り巻きがいっぱいいてさ、いつも群れてるんだ。そいつらを使ってデュエル中に対戦相手への妨害も平気でするって。
How?
ここまでグラちゃんで対戦したチームのうち半分ぐらいが
Black is looking pretty sus.
してきてる。それだけじゃなくて、秋葉とか池袋とかによく出没してオタク狩りまでしてるとも言われてるし、とにかくライネッターからはすごく嫌われてるのだぜ。
そんな奴らがなぜ野放しになってる。
Were the people calling you suspicious the people who were in fact the imposters?
そりゃ証拠がないからっしょ。
I played like a grand total of 10 games of Among
あんな
Us.
黒い連中に脅されたら怖くて何も言えないって。
Let's just let my ringtone go throughout this hall. I'm sure people will love hearing it. Mayuri. Subject. Lap pillow. Granny kept pocketing the pocket of her apron, so I'd go to sleep hearing that sound. I think that's why pockety's sound makes me calm. Oh, that's really nice. Viral attackers. Ferris told me that their interference cost her the game. As long as she's got sunglasses and earplugs I gave her, she should be able to win. If she wins, she might be able to recall the contents of the D-mail she sent. At least that's what she said. She lies. I need Ferris to win. Mary's life depends on it. Counting on you, Ferris. Ferris rises to the stage, heralded by thunderous cheers. Naturally, on the other side is 4 raised tiny circles C. They face off across the circuit mat.
2人タッグの場合、どういう戦い方をするんだ。
要するに相談できるんだよ。2人分の考え方が加わることで相手に駒の配置を読みにくくさせるんだよ。
So basically, the partner just plays a support role.
まあ、
They were not the
心配ないって。
imposter. During one round of voting, one of the players kept calling you out, you eventually turned the tables on
一
them.
瞬でフルボッコだから。
Yeah, the things some people find suspicious. Some people are just too suspicious. They're like, oh, you followed me everywhere, and you're like, well, yeah, I had tasks to do there. Like, we're all going into electrical? Like, yes, we all have tasks in electrical. The referee gathers Ferris and the 2 virals for a coin toss to decide who takes the first turn.
それではライネットアクセスバトラーズグランドチャンピオンシップ決勝戦。
Instantly, silence falls on the assembly hall. Literally every vote that kept saying it was you had someone else tell you couldn't be an admin and fix wire swipe cards, like those 2 tasks are next to each other. One thing I've noticed is that the swiping your card, I've seen people just have so much trouble with it, like taking like 10 or 12 tries. Like, sure, it messes up, but I've never taken more than like 3 tries on it. I don't understand why some people have so much trouble with it. You just have to like be a bit patient with it. Like maybe like the first time or 2, like you have to figure out the like speed to do it, but after that, it shouldn't be that much of an issue unless it's a random speed each time, and I've just been lucky. Everyone holds their breath in anticipation. The referee's shout signals the start of the game. The room erupts in cheers. This game will probably be the last thing we do for today's stream. First up is Ferris. A huge monitor hanging from the ceiling displays the circuit mat, thing that looks like a chessboard. That does not look like a chessboard to me. The cards glitter and sparkle in the stage lights. All cards on the board are face down, but each player is allowed to peek at his or her own cards. Their cameras are oriented in a way that the audience can't see what cards they have. According to Daru, Rainet Axis Battlers is a game of psychological warfare. It's all about figuring out where your opponent has placed his cards. Each player starts with 4 link cards and 4 virus cards for a total of 8 cards face down on the board. The victory conditions are a little complex, but in short, you win if you take out 4 of your opponent's link cards, or if you make your opponent take 4 of your virus cards. The game starts with each player trying to figure out how the other has placed his or her cards. Knowing your opponent's layout lets you shift the game to your advantage. That's why it's important to be careful what moves you make, whether you're attacking or defending. Your duel partner's there to make it harder for your opponent to read your thoughts. I watch as the duel between Ferris and the viral attackers unfolds before my eyes. Every time a link card or a virus card is revealed, a wave of excitement ripples through the audience. I'm starting to understand just how amazing Ferris must be to become champion all by herself. The audience is on the edge of their seats. As best I can tell, it looks like the viral attackers are, true to their name, on the attack.
フェイリスはどんな作戦で行く気なんだろうか。
フェイリスさんはスロースターターっつうか、前半は相手のカードを見極めることに重点を置くから結構慎重なんだ。
The reactor minigame, is that the Simon Says one?
その代わり終盤になるといつも大逆転しちゃってるのさ。
Yes, it is. I don't mind it. It's just one of those ones where I swear, like, every time I start it, like, a meeting gets called partway through and then I have to redo it.
今回もそういう作戦で行くんじゃね？
Contrary to Dario's expectations, Ferris charges an enemy territory with a card equipped with a skill called Line Boost. Undaunted, the Virals meet her attack head-on, countering with their own Line Boost equipped card. Oddly enough, Ferris makes the first move. He waits for the Virals to overextend themselves, then snatches one of their cards, using her Line Boost equipped card.
さあ何が出るか。
We won't know if the card she took was a link card or a virus card until she opens it. The card Ferris snatched is...
どうした？
よりによってウイルスカードを取っちゃったよ。フェイリスタンにしては珍しく最初から攻めてるな。決勝で作戦を変えてくるなんて。
どうやらチャンプのメス猫はこの俺黒きクジャクのヘビーロックな翼に怯えちまってるらしい。焦りが見えるぜ。臆病なメス猫がブルブル震えているのが俺の打天使の瞳にはっきりと映っているぜ。作戦を変えてきたように見えるがこれはフェイクだ。間違いないと囁くのさ。俺のダテ割るハートだな。メス猫のことは研究し尽くしているぜ。最初から攻め込むようなことはしねえ。考えている以上に慎重だ。それが分かってる俺のマインドには何ら衝撃はねえ。
The time someone said that you were sus when you were the body, that was... I love that when people are like, I think Red's still suspicious. And they're like, dude, Red's the one who died. And they're like, oh, I guess they're not? Actually, to my knowledge, if you have two imposters, you can't have one kill the other, can you? Because that would open up a whole new different thing. Some kind of, like, reverse psychology of being like, oh, these two are paired together, and then, like, split up, and like, oh, now they got murdered, it must be the new person who was tailing them. I feel like that would be an interesting addition, though. Because, yeah, I know you can vote them out, and yes, you can report, but I feel like it would be an interesting strategy to allow imposters to kill the other imposters. I guess you just have to worry about people being trolls.
そんなエレガントさのかけらもねえ小細工じゃ俺たちの黒は染まらねえ。なぜならバイラルアタッカーズ黒のせい。ライネットに下克上を起こす男たち。
What's happening? They're having a card game. It's time to duel.
それにしてもあいつはよく喋るな。
Still have no idea what he's saying.
バイラルうぜえ。
Ferris was radiant when she greeted the audience. But now her cheer and luster have evaporated in the face of 4 tiny raised circle C's taunts.
でもああやって相手にプレッシャーを与えていくのもライネットじゃ結構重要なんだよね。いかに相手を動揺させるかっつうの？そこから相手のカードの配置も読めるわけで。
意外と殺伐としたゲームなのか。
実はライネットって子供より大人に人気あるんだお。アニメだってさ、絵柄は子供向けなんだけど、ストーリーは結構ハード路線なのだぜ。そしてキラリちゃんは超エロい。
This game kinda reminds me of Stratego if you've played it. Like, I care, perv. Only 3 minutes have passed since the start of the duel, and Ferris is already frowning. I know what you're doing. TV head and basket head told me that's how. She's also fidgeting in her seat, as if there's something bothering her.
わっ、レーザー光線だ。
え、なんぞ？
フェイリスの目のあたりを見ろ。赤い光線が。
It appears in short intervals. It's difficult to spot, but there's definitely a laser shining in Ferris's eyes.
マジで？
Ferris stares at her eyes for a few seconds, then shakes his head.
ダメだ、わかんねえ。でももしオカリンが見たのが本当だったら、客席のどこかにいる奴らの妨害行為だお。バイラル許せん。
レフェリーはなぜやめさせないんだ。
レフェリーが見てないタイミングを見計らってるのかも。
The audience is huge. It's impossible to tell where the beam is coming from. It could be multiple lasers for all I know. Now I get why Ferris asked me to bring her sunglasses before I time leaped. But on the damn sunglasses, Ferris. Alas, a telepathic message doesn't reach her. What about a real message? Oh, your phone's off anyways. Clench my teeth and stand up.
オカリン、どこ行くんだよ。
バイラルの手下どもを探す。妨害行為をやめさせるんだ。
これだけ人がいるんじゃ見つかりっこなくね？
What's with the glasses? Future Ferris asked us to come back in time with sunglasses and earplugs. The sunglasses apparently are for making sure someone can't shoot a laser into her eyeballs. Not sure what the earplugs are for yet. I ignore Dar and begin wading through the sea of spectators in search of my target. I mean, if it's anything like this picture, and she's on one side of the table, there's only one side it can be on, and there's only 3 rows of people. Meanwhile, the game is still proceeding. Ferris takes the card she used for her first attack. Instead of sending it into enemy territory for another attack, pulls it back to fortify her defenses. Vials respond by unleashing a massive assault on her line. Equipped a card with Line Boost, which allows it to move it twice, and then unequipped it. Then they equip Line Boost to another card and move that. It's like their strategy is to attack in waves. They even seem willing to make sacrifices to a certain extent. Of course, the Virals are most likely attacking cards with a mix of both Link cards and Virus cards. In order to survive the onslaught, Virus is forced to capture some of their cards in retaliation. Each Virus card she's tricked into taking puts her at even more of a disadvantage. Varys looks very unsettled by 4 tiny raised circle C's unpleasant smile. The laser attacks must be really getting to her as well. Finally, she makes a careless move that truly seems desperate. Disbelief spreads through the hall. Yes, with predictions, you could lose channel points even if you win.
どうやら俺のダテワルカリスマオーラにビビってクールなハートを忘れてるみたいだな。まさかチャンピオンが素人みたいな手に出るとはな。
Amateurish? Too busy searching for the viral underlings in the audience to pay attention to the match. This new turn of events causes me to look up to the monitor. Varys has moved one of her pieces to the other side of the board, the entrance to the viral attacker's server. But the virals must have used their virus checker card because Ferris's card is face up. It's a virus card. Every card you send into the enemy server is added to your total. Normally you try to get link cards through as that brings you closer to victory. However, you're not required to reveal any cards you successfully send into your enemy's server. So although it hurts your point total, you technically can send virus cards into your enemy's server. For some reason, Ferris is trying to send a revealed virus card into her enemy's server. Even if it gets through, she won't be fooling anyone. Moreover, Ferris has already taken 3 virus cards, 1 more and she'll lose, so she can't send that card through even if she wants to. So what exactly was she trying to accomplish? You really that distracted by the laser beam?
あえてここでこのダテワルストーリーテラーシードが漆黒の宣言をさせてもらう。メスメコ、てめえは数分後には元チャンピオンへと堕落する。
Someone in the audience echoes 4 tiny raised circle C's vulgar laughter. So that's where his underlings are. Push my way through the audience in the direction of the laughter. The rest of the audience starts booing. I guess most Ryan others really do hate the virals. But Ferris herself doesn't respond to 4 tiny raised circle C's taunts. She just bites her lip and closes her eyes. Come on, just put on the sunglasses. This cute things only policy of hers is going to cost her the match. Or maybe it's impossible to prevent Ferris from losing. Maybe convergence will bring about the same result, just as my area is doomed to die no matter what I change. Let's create an alternate timeline where he gets kicked in the coconuts. I mean, as long as we don't die, our cell phone doesn't break, and we don't lose the time machine, if he beats the living crap out of us, we can still kick him in the coconuts. The audience gasps. The virals have snatched a link card from Ferris. Now they have a total of 2 link cards. You can feel it. Ferris is losing. But just then, I catch sight of a few guys dressed in all black. One of them is superstitiously aiming a pen-shaped object at the stage. Surreptitiously, there we go. Surreptitiously. My brain is starting to go, I must say. It's him. I grab his wrist. Aha, your name is Viral Attacker C. It must be you.
そこまでだ。フェイルスの妨害はさせない。この動くな。動けば撃つ。
I thrust something into his side. It's feature gadget number 1, the Bit Particle Gun. I remembered how this bluff worked with Moak on a previous world line, so I brought it just in case. I guess this is before, places started searching you for, bringing guns inside. Or maybe that's just America. He brought it because apparently he thought he might need to convince someone he had a gun. The man freezes. I guess he didn't expect to be held at gunpoint at a children's card game event. Take advantage of his surprise, I snatch the laser pointer out of his hand, then disappear back into the crowd. The punk starts shouting, gives up when he can't find me. Good. That takes care of the laser. Now Ferris can focus on the game. A screen goes up from the audience. 4 tiny raised circle C has snatched another one of Ferris's link cards. That's the 3rd one. The virals need just 1 more to win. I'm pretty sure you're correct, ma'am.
そういうヘドが出そうな格好はてめえの家の鏡の前限定でやってな。てめえのファンはみんなてめえとやりたいだけのキモいオタク野郎ばかりだ。
Jeez.
そんな連中から応援してもらって嬉しいのか？
Ferris still doesn't respond. She hasn't said a word since the match started. Probably because she has her earplugs in. I got rid of the interference, so Ferris should come up with a reversal any second now. I stare at her, praying for a miracle. When I do, Ferris once again turns her face away. as if trying to avoid something. Is it another laser?
チャンピオン、てめえは目が命らしいな。なんでも相手の心理を読み取れるっていう伊達悪的にも卑怯としか思えねえ反則的な力があるらしいじゃねえか。
What? She does?
つまりてめえは人間じゃねえのさ。醜い天使。てめえと話したやつは心を覗かれちまうからな。みんな気をつけろ。
Also, Mim, is it not past 4 a.m. for you?
出ないとこのメス猫にどんな秘密も握られちまうぞ。そうしたらあとはその秘密によって延々と脅されるんだ。金をよこせ、それともライネットの勝負で負けろ。てめえの要求は何だ。
The audience begins to murmur. Ferris does have that kind of power, and it's no wonder she's so good at Rhynet. My Chinubio imagination starts to run wild. I try my best to keep it suppressed. This is taking way longer than I thought it did. Ferris really can see through lies. It would explain why she hated the laser beam attack so much. Also explain why her moves made so little sense this match.
チェンジディレクトリ。
あ？今なんて言った？
チェンジディレクトリ。使うにゃ。
Change Directory is a special type of card called a terminal card. Once per game, it allows you to switch the placement of two of your own pieces. Of course, you may also pretend to switch them. Additionally, if either of the two cards is exposed by virus checker, it gets flipped back face down. I get it. With Change Directory, she can switch out the virus card she's placed near the enemy's server. Just as expected, Varus exchanges the virus card with a card that 4 Tiny Rays Circle C has surrounded with his cards. Or maybe she just pretended to. Either way, nobody knows which card is the link card and which is the virus card. Nobody except for Ferris, that is. Pretty interesting ploy. Will it work? The viral attackers whisper to each other. Once they're finished, 4 Tiny Rays Circle C returns to the circuit mat, the shit-eating grin on his face.
俺の金銭にインパクトをもたらすこともねえ。つまんねえ手だぜ。それが大逆転の秘策だったのか。だが俺は黒のクジャク。あらゆる女を虜にするライネッター界の伊達割るニュージェネレーション。俺のクールなブラックブレインはそれぐらいお見通しなのさ。
Why is he eating that? Heckin' gross. I agree.
というよりも完全にてめえのミスだ、チャンピオン。
Without a moment's hesitation, 4 Tiny Rays Circle C captures the piece Ferris placed next to his server.
俺のウィルスカード累計はまだ2枚。もう1枚ウィルスカードを取ったとしてもこの漆黒の翼がもがれることはねえ。だがてめえはあと1枚リンクカードを取られたらジ・エンド・オブ・グランドクロスだ。そしててめえの陣地で盾となって守りを固めているそのカード、そいつは序盤ラインブーストを装備させて俺に取られるのを覚悟で突撃してきたカード。最初に言ったが臆病な子猫ちゃんが序盤に孤独なリンクカードをさまよわせるなんてありえねえ。つまりちゃん伊達割る的に考えればてめえが持ってるリンクカードは今交換したカードの方ってことになるのさ。確かめるまでもなくすでにこの黒のクジャクのセクシャルな瞳には俺のエレガントな
Why are your eyes sexual?
クレイジーなカードの中身が
Why was that necessary?
交換したうち1枚がウイルスで1枚がリンク。それなら両方取ったって勝つのは俺たち黒の貴公子なんだよ。
Wait, is that right? The card 4 Tiny Rays Circle C takes now as a link card, then he wins. Even if it's a virus card, it'll still be match point, and then he'll know which card to take for sure. It's going to end without Ferris demonstrating any of her power. Unless they're all viruses. The card displayed on the monitor is...
ウイルスカードだ
Is it over? Virals have taken 3 link cards and 3 virus cards. Match point. But 4 tiny raised circle C is right. That doesn't even matter. Ferris only has 2 cards left. 4 tiny raised circle C already knows which is the link card and which is the virus card. Ferris's link card is surrounded by the virals cards. There's nowhere to run. Does this mean Ferris is gonna lose? No way. Gotta be some advice I can give her. Can't think of anything.
世界はこのライネット世紀末黒く染まる
4 tiny raised circle C poses as if in ecstasy with both hands stretched wide and his chin cocked up. Oh my gosh, game, why? This attitude disgusts me. This text disgusts me. I clench my fists. Looks like I have no choice but to time leap again and force Ferris to wear the sunglasses.
黒の目視録は現実になったメス猫チャンプは今元チャンプへと打点し俺たちバイラルアタッカーズの最高に壮絶で最高にセクシーなニュージェネレーションシーンが開幕を
Why are you the sexiest new generation?
何勘違いしてるのにゃ。
あ
この勝負はまだ終了してないのにゃ。
Ferris is back to her usual speech patterns. She's even got a fearless smile on her face. It's not the look of a Rhinetter facing certain defeat. And then Ferris pulls something out of her ears. Wait, earplugs? Those are the ones I gave her this morning. She wore the earplugs but not the sunglasses? Why, to catch the opponent unprepared?
何ドリーミーなこと言ってんだ
I mean, the most important thing about the earplugs is you didn't have to hear all the crap they were talking about.
あなたが今取ったフェイリスのカード、よく確かめたらどうにゃ。
まさか
No way. The card he just took wasn't a link card?
そんなはずはねえダテワル的にありえねえそんなバカなことをするはずがねえんだよチェンジディレクトリでウィルスカードとウィルスカードをあえて交換するように見せかけるなんて無駄なことはあの不利な状況でできるはずが
いいからそのカードを早くめくってみるにゃ。
4 tiny raised circle C slowly flips over the card he took from Ferris. The entire audience waits for the card to be revealed, and then displayed on the monitor.
なんとリンクカードだと思われていたそのカードは
ウィルスカード
大逆転だ
She did it. She really turned defeat into victory. It's like she knew exactly what was going to happen. She was in control of the battle all along. The audience goes wild. Their cheers shake the hall and my eardrums.
Winner! Ladies! Nyam! Nyam! 見事対戦2連覇 Congratulations!
I hope this is the last we ever hear this announcer. The hall rocks with the jubilation of the crown. Dar and I clasp hands and share in the excitement of Ferris's victory. With the tournament over, I wait for Ferris outside the hall. And I think, after all that, that's where we're going to end it.